created leaves us in a position here of saying, well, it's tough, life is unfair, and so forth. But I'd rather be in a position where we can say we've made a good faith effort and so on. And I don't think it's good faith effort if it starts from the wrong spot.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to some of that? And I think sure Jim wants to say some stuff.
You may.
Just kind of reaction to that. I started working for the county in 1981. And at that time, they had a clean slate program. And the clean slate program was developed because the county was going to get tough, but we wanted to give people a chance to come in, legalize what they had if they could, clean up their mess, and move on. That was Clean Slate 1. Then you had Clean Slate 2 in 1986, where they said, well, let's give them another chance, really get the word out, let them come in and get it done. And I think this is just going to continue. What's happened now is we have an ordinance that gives some teeth. We never had that before. And you're right in that complaints, I don't know what the percentage is, Jim could probably give me a better feeling for it, but a lot of it is neighborhood driven. You know, what about the other guy? You know, you're going after me, what about the other guy? And they turn in complaints to, Dodge and Sway, or they don't like their neighbor, and a lot of it is like that. And the code enforcement people are in a tough job. They're, half social worker. They're trying to deal with people who have a lot of issues that are well beyond just the garbage on their property. And, they need to prioritize their work, and they do have a process by which they rank the severity of a complaint, and they go through that process to do that. I think the concerns that we have that are here today is that we see as the code is written out, that we're going to have some problems in that soon, if we come back every 90 days with a backlog of I don't know how many cases coming to you again and again, you're going to get tired of it, we're going to get tired of it. It's hugely labor intensive. And I do think that there is some tweaking of this ordinance that would be entirely appropriate. But I think the board also needs to be aware that this is going to be a real awkward situation. I mean, do you really want to deal with somebody who has a lot of poverty, education, health, all kinds of issues in their personal life come in here, and you go from a presentation with some nice school kids who are doing a good thing and then deal with somebody who's got crap all over their property. It's going to be hard for the board to make that transition and then go back and forth. This is going to be an awkward thing. The reason we're in front of you is to say this is a heads up. And I think as we go through this process, hopefully we can smooth out the rough edges of it. But again, we wanted to give you the dry run so you can see what you're getting into, and we're getting into. Jim, do you have anything?
Yeah, if I could just also respond. As I was showing in this slide, the property owner does have recourses, and they're first and foremost, the code enforcement officer needs to be very sensitive to the situation.
Sergeant.
And
or Captain.
When we have a
I'm listening, I'm sorry.
when we have a unfortunate situation involving a senior or someone who is completely incapable of working, abating the situation, we're very sensitive to that, and we do work with them. I have quite a number of people that I have spent a lot of years with working on to try and abate their violations without giving them a notice in order to abate. I could cite their names to you right now. I won't, but the point is, it's the code enforcement officer's responsibility to be sensitive to the nature of the violation, the source of the violation, and the level of danger it poses to neighbors and the community. And that assessment made, every effort has to be made to work with the owner to abate the violation in a fair and reasonable way. If they feel that they have not been treated fairly, they can appeal to the director of the department, who, if they have abated the violation and they feel that the civil penalty aspect is too heavy, they can go directly to the department head and say, this is egregious, it's unfair, it's onerous, we request that you consider eliminating it, and the director can do what they want to do. Let's say that they cut it in half or cut it by 2/3, and then the owner of the property still refuses to pay. It will still come before you, before I can record it. So there are many checks and balances in this, and we cannot run freely out and start taking people's property. There's a lot of steps along the way.
Thank you, gentlemen. Supervisor Pinches.
The way I understand it, the way things are right now, I mean, that's kind of how the process works. Any time that anybody is assessed a fine or anything, on any issue, in any department, they have the ability to appeal it and actually finalize it by bringing it to the Board of Supervisors, right?
Ultimately.
Yeah, ultimately, on any issue. So I don't see where we really have to get into all this, if they, because the process is set up, if they totally don't agree with what like the building and planning director says and negotiates on a fine or something, ultimately, or if it's in any other department, they ultimately have the ability to appeal it and come to the Board of Supervisors. So I don't see where we have to make this lien hearing process, I mean, I like the idea kind of the way it's set up right now. I really think the big problem, and